You're listening to the podcast Women Ending War. I'm your co-host, Elana Sztokman, a Jewish Israeli American, along with my co-hosts Eva Dalak and Dr. Fakhira Halloun, Palestinian citizens of Israel. Together, we are activating peace. Welcome.
Shalom, Elana.
Assalamu alaikum, Eva. كيف حالك?
الحمد لله. كيف حالك أنت?
Good, Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less.
Good enough.
Good
That's my learning has been good enough.
Good enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, appreciating the enoughness of thing. And we're arriving to season 3.
Season 3, exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
We've been talking to so many diverse women.
Amazing women.
Really amazing women. Women ending war.
Women ending war. Women bringing peace.
Yeah.
Women activating
women activating peace. Women and men. Yeah.
Activating nonviolence.
Mm-hmm.
We had some really phenomenal conversations, and now this time you come back to the Holy Land, and this time there's a ceasefire in place.
Yeah, there was such a synchronicity. Like I bought my ticket before there was a ceasefire announced, and I traveled on the day of the ceasefire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really a very, very auspicious moment, and I felt privileged, kind of carried by spirit.
Wow.
How I put spiritual meaning to all of this symbolic moments.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're now in a ceasefire.
Yeah. Which is not a one-day thing.
No.
The first stage is 42 days.
Yes.
And then the rest till the end, till we get to, full ceasefire is supposed to be in May 25th. So it's the process of, Israel getting out of Gaza and of all the hostages being returned and all the prisoners released and all of that and all the people of Gaza getting back to their homes. That is a 4-month process, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it carries a lot of questions and doubts, especially as a reminder of the Oslo process also that should have led into a full peace agreement. So peace processes have really bad reputation.
They have bad reputations.
Bad reputation. Peace is a bad word.
Peace is a bad word. But it's because you're setting your sights high. So
yeah, what do you call peace, A lot of the peace processes have normalized occupation and structure of violence. And I think there's an euphoria around ceasefire in the world, but while there's ceasefire in Gaza, there's like increase of violence, settler violence in the West Bank. And these are not being broadcasted widely. And people are not aware of that's what's happening. And so I feel like we discussed with one of the person on the season around how as soon as the ceasefire started in Gaza, there was an increase of violence in the West Bank, and how people in the West Bank have been expecting that.
Yeah.
And that was really sad.
Yeah. And also, you hear from leaders on all sides already blaming each other. You hear each side already saying, oh, they broke the ceasefire, oh, they broke the ceasefire. You hear this like every 5 minutes. And it's like they're already planting the seeds for everything to fall apart.
Yeah.
So that's really, and in Israel, for example, you already have, lots of Knesset members and cabinet ministers already planning to not keep the ceasefire. And now you have Trump also who's saying, well, maybe it won't work out. We'll see. As if they're all like already planting the seeds for it not to, which is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for all the people who really need this war to end and who deserve the war to end and who deserve, and we all deserve a long-term solution. We all deserve, we all need and desperately need and deserve leaders of all sides to sit down and create a different future, a vision for a different future. And they're all already creating exit doors. So they have like exit strategy. And so that's a little distressing. I hear also a lot of times the hostage mothers, there's this woman, Einav Zangaukar, whose son Matan is a hostage, and she's been on the street every day since October 7th, begging the whole world to pay attention that she's trying to get her son back. And her son isn't on the list of stage 1. Hopefully he'll be on the list of stage 2. But if stage 2 doesn't happen, her son is it's a death sentence to her son, basically. And, I can't get her face out of my head, when I hear all of these Knesset members say, well, we're definitely not going to stage 2. We're never getting out of Gaza. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Well,
it's the exact unreasonable reasons that even started the war, you know?
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. And also another big obstacle and challenge, I would say, is the media, right? Because
media is complicit in this whole process, definitely.
How do you see that?
Well, I think that the whole process, this whole war on genocide has been like so mediatized, and media is a complicit in the continuation of the hatred and in the polarization of sides, and in the, if you're not with this side, then you're in with that side, and these stories are not true, and these stories are not true, and I think it's part of the discussion that we've had, and that's part of our motto, is like creating this field of one side, which is the side that doesn't want to be pushed to the corner and polarized and pushed to violence. And I think there's many, many, many of us, a majority of people, and I call them silent majority, which unfortunately, because they're of our silence, or at least we're not silent, but because of the silence majority, it gives legitimacy to the people that are very loud, the settler violence, and the IDF and the Israeli government that doesn't necessarily have full support of the whole Israeli population. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah. I agree with you that the overwhelming majority wants all of this to end, clearly. The overall majority is willing to see humanization, but the government promotes dehumanization of the other, and the media, like you said, the polarization of the media really contributes to the dehumanization of the other. We see that in Israel. Watching the way the Israeli media reports on the ceasefire, that you're only seeing one side of the story the whole time, and
just seeing the hostages, and you're not seeing anything about the prisoners, which I also call prisoner hostages, because Israel have taken them without any legal arrest or a justification. And I think also there was a lot of reports around how the IDF and the Israeli police have forbidden the families of this prisoner to even welcome them. And
they're trying to repress joy.
Yes.
The army is saying we are trying to make sure that there are no expressions of joy. I was like, what is that? What kind of like control mechanism does it take to say we will not let that group have joy? Like that's like.
Also, that's how sick they are.
But also, you know, what happened recently was that Ayman Odeh, you know, the Knesset member, expressed some of what you were saying. He said in the first exchange of prisoners in the beginning of the ceasefire, you know, he said that he was, you know, happy that these prisoners were going home, and he was accused of being, you know, a terrorist lover or whatever it was. And so he went to explain himself, and he said, you know, none of the people who were being released are murderers or anything like that. Almost all of them are people who are held without cause, who were never told their cause. Many of them are children.
And who have just been taken away from their family, just like the hostages.
Yeah. So he got into so much trouble for that. Now there's a petition in the Knesset to try to oust him from the Knesset for daring to suggest that. So it's a really tense thing. And then you have like other people, and then there are other people talking about, you know, how difficult it is because of other prisoners who are being released. You know, you have, you know, people who said, well, the person who murdered my husband is now being released. So, well, not now, but will be released soon. So therefore we should oppose the entire ceasefire. I mean, there's a lot of shades of gray. I think that's what we're talking about here, and I think that's the key in what we want to showcase in our in this season, is the variety and the diversity of perspective around the same issue. And so really seeing that same situation from the different point of view, because we're radically different, and our narrative and our perspective is different. It doesn't necessarily mean that one perspective is overwhelming right versus another, and that's what the Israeli media try to showcase, that their narrative, their truth is the truth, and that's not true, because there's no one truth. This is not existing. And so I think it's like what I would like for us in season 3, and that's where we're heading. It's like showing with much more curiosity around, wow, this is an interesting perspective. How can we look at it from a different perspective? And what other layers haven't we looked at? And what other perspective isn't being shown or isn't being promoted
by the mainstream media, mainstream and mainstream, you know.
Oh, that's true.
So
I love that, actually. I love what you're talking about, curiosity. I do think that curiosity is a vital component of compassion. You know, in order to find the compassion, you have to be curious about the other person with an open heart. Curiosity sort of is this willingness to hear something that you may not have heard before.
And you may not agree with. And that's really important to mention as well, because we don't need to agree. We can agree to disagree.
Right, right. Like we learned in season 1, better to
connect before you correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. That was the first time that I heard that expression. It was season 1, episode 4. We heard that from Nadia and Anat, to connect before you correct. And that has really stayed with me. And I started I'm taking a course now with them. Did I tell you?
Yes.
I'm taking a course with Nadia and Anat.
On nonviolent communication.
On nonviolent communication.
Amazing.
Yes, to become a facilitator. So that's exciting. So, you know, we're learning all the time. So, yeah. So hopefully this season will be about curiosity, compassion, and hearing all the different perspectives about what the ceasefire means, what it can mean, hope, possible hope for the future, possible peace activation.
Yeah.
Okay, excited to go still be on the journey with you.
Same here. Thank you.
You've been listening to the podcast Women Ending War. I'm Dr. Elana Sztokman, and my co-host is Eva Dalak. If you like this, please subscribe, share, like, and comment. Links to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple are below. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Substack. And please consider supporting us financially. We need your help. Link to our GoFundMe page is below. In peace, salam, and shalom.